俺将来キュアチューバーになるんだ。
Welcome to the world of e-baking, kid. We opened this week pretty strongly with Sora out on a morning jog just as the sun rose in a very well done sequence. Seriously, nice job with that lighting. However, while the sun was refreshing for the girl, literally named Sky, it wasn't enough to replenish another girl's stamina. And using a bit of a clever OGS callback, they recapped the previous episode by applying those previous events to the current, with Mashiro saying that she didn't want to just be a damsel in distress again and was trying to train with Sora. However, as she admitted through an old proverb, she still had a ways to go. Said proverb was quickly jotted down by Sora in hiragana. Yeah, again, just through some good visual storytelling, we were able to gather that Mashiro realized that Skyland writing was different than Japanese, and yet Sora had already mastered their basic characters. Jesus, we haven't even reached the opening and we already had so much to talk about. Anyway, Mashiro asked if she would become like her blue-haired friend if she also trained every day.
今の真城さんのままでいいんです。
Hey, don't look at me. We can't make a Yuri joke for every little scene. After the opening, we finally learned who was driving that frickin' Hummer in said opening. This was Ageha Hiji, an old childhood friend of Mashiro, who in her first scene managed to speak vocally and visually a lot about her character. She outright said that she was 18, though we could just see it through her being significantly taller than the original duel, and also a bit of an oddball who drew illustrations of her backstory in her tablet. Well, drawn illustrations, but seriously girl, you're coming off as just a little possessive of the younger Mashiro when you're drawing your misadventures together. And while I don't think they said it, her family was clearly loaded just by looking at that Hummer. I mean, as I said in the first episode review, if you ever want to prove that you're a 1%er, just drive around in that gas guzzler with these prices.
This thing gets 7 feet for 1 tank of gas!
As for other little details about her that Mashiro hilariously wanted to get quickly summarized.
イングリッシュティーラテ with ホワイトチョコレート、アドエクストラホイップ。
Get off my lawn, you dirty zoomers! Sora then introduced herself to the new girl, including how she and Elle were isekaiers, which Mashiro quickly shut down. Now, this did seem like a superfluous scene that did make Sora look a little dense, but it wasn't bad, as it also did establish her Taro Momori-esque honesty that will bite her in the ass in just a bit. Anyway, the scene ended with Ageha giving a subtle yet kind of awkward little smile, perhaps admiring that Mashiro had made a new friend, but also feeling a little sad that she was no longer her only friend. Oh, and also, Yo-Yo was having tea with that orange bird. Yeah, that's a thing. Anyway, they stopped by a nursery school training academy that Ageha was considering applying to, and yeah, I won't spoil anything about her just yet, even though it's pretty damn obvious, but I will say that I like how this young adult character is already job hunting. It does separate her from the other late teen characters in this franchise who were only approaching these activities just as their series were ending. Granted, generally, I think most people would job hunt during their junior year in college and not freshmen like her, but I guess it's not impractical, and it did set off Mashiro's subplot of the episode of her considering her future, something that she really doesn't have to worry about at her age. Just because the cure with the big forehead worries about this stuff doesn't mean you have to. Fortunately, she was quickly distracted by an obvious trap that she hilariously pointed out like a smart-ass YouTuber would. Well, anyway, as previously established, Sora was sincere to a fault and fell right into Katsudoom's trap.
なんてずる賢い。コントかな。
Mashiro, just take it. Just take it. You can review your own damn show. But yeah, the Orc managed to steal Sora's pen and created okay, y'all just really want to have a collab with Mario, don't you? And without her transformation trinket, Sora was quickly captured and oh come on, I haven't even said anything yet! Anyway, like a mushroom, it managed to spread spores and create a smaller version of itself to chase down Mashiro and Elle. Ageha tried to help, but they quickly found themselves trapped on the roof.
Mic test.
Have I mentioned yet how much I love the comedy of this season so far? Anyway, he was trying to get them to surrender Elle to him by holding Sora hostage. When she refused to cooperate, he taped up her mouth and, Okay, Ryunosuke, do I have to remind you that you're not writing for late-night anime right now? I mean, just come on, how much more innuendo can you slip in? Oh, come on!
That's a penis.
But yeah, with her friend in danger, Mashiro's inner sky pen just kind of came out. Now, I would have said this felt a little rushed if she had transformed here, but in a bit of a nicer version, she didn't immediately take out the pen after some gaslighting. Dude, why couldn't you have been around last year? However, in a really clever callback to something that seemed like a gag because it was played off like one, Akiha reminded her old friend of the time that she helped her when she ran away from home after learning that they were moving away. The younger Mashiro had told her that they'd stay friends no matter how far apart they were, and serious credit to Ai Kakuma for this great line read.
マシロは悲しくないの？悲しいよ。
Oh, that legit stung. But yeah, all around, this was my actual favorite part of the episode, even considering what's coming up. It highlighted Mashiro's strongest weapon, which is her kindness, and even gave Ageha her time to shine, as she had actually told the shroom monster to shut up while they were having a moment. And she even cheered her friend on, in spite of not knowing the full scope of the situation yet. With that, Mashiro transformed, and unfortunately, this wasn't anywhere near as good as her partner's. I mean, to be fair, it wasn't bad, and trying to compare any animation to Nishiki Itoka stuff is almost unfair, but as the friend pointed out, the tempo here just felt a little off due to the slower, choppy animation that's not even making up for it with any sort of outstanding details, like this cut-in at the end that even lacked the subtle animations that Sora had. I'm not completely sure, but I'm almost convinced this was done by Toru Takano, who did Sango's stilted transformation and has been working on this season. Anyway, just an okayish transformation aside, Mashiro did make a strong first impression through a kind of clever subversion of the usual upwards high jump by instead going sideways, which resulted in the wall bounce. Nice. She then freed her friend by attacking there, and the two finished off their respective enemies. And again, some nice visual storytelling here, with Sora just confidently going in for her one finishing blow, while Mashiro just went in hard as she clearly still lacks the training and discipline to just end the fight with her finisher. Said finisher was about as good as her transformation, just being a mini, far less flashy spirit bomb. And with that, the episode ended with the friends reuniting and...
私なんかなんて言っちゃダメ。
Okay, you win.
Just f already!
No, and also, the surprise cure this week was Mashiro. Yeah, I guess they have to kind of do this every time an actual cure for this show debuts. Makes sense, I guess. You know, it really says something when the new cure debut is just one of the stronger elements of an episode. Mashiro, appropriately as the light-based cure, was able to shine both in and out as a Precure, but the also debuting Ageha managed to stand out without taking anything away from her old friend. And just all around, there was some strong subtext in this one. Granted, not all of it appropriate for all ages. While I still think Sora is my personal favorite of the season so far, I gotta say, I do relate a little more with Mashiro. For someone who is genuinely very kind, she also has one of the biggest smart mouths in the entire franchise. Her witty comebacks really make her the most down-to-earth character of this entire show, appropriate considering who her partner is. It's certainly helping show more facades to her as a bit of an overthinker who's worried about getting a job while still in middle school. And yet, through Sora's influence, she's gained the confidence to find her own path. And while the two didn't really get to team up this week, they will next week, and that interaction time wasn't appropriately relegated to the new character in Ageha. Again, not spoiling anything just yet, but she did have a very strong debut that helped to distinguish her from other characters in the franchise near her age. She was a very amiable character, already taking some realistic steps towards her independence, whilst also just being a fun character with a ton of personality. This is all supported by some great visual storytelling, which has been a strong suit for this season so far. It more than made up for Mashiro's kind of disappointing cure animations. Again, not bad stuff, but I do hope we get some better stuff in the near future. And overall, this was a very strong and fun double debut, especially if you're as cynical as Mashiro and me. Seriously, how did they get some of this stuff past the censors? So, somehow, we actually managed to get that Delicious Party overview done, in spite of how much we just kept on adding to it. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, it did become a genuinely good piece for writing analysis, so we do have to thank that otherwise underwhelming season for that much. Still, with it done, we can now get back to looking at the past with the OG series, as this big anniversary season is going on with some less than subtle references to it. So look forward to it. And until then though, farewell for now my friends, and hey, did you all remember to get rid of those shrooms from last week? Okay, good. So how did you get rid of them? You gave them to that bear who's already kind of high on cocoa, didn't you? Great.